Estás escuchando PlanetaXLive.com. Descarga la aplicación en tu iPhone o Android Market.
Hi, Jennifer Villarreal here.
Hi, everyone. This is Rocio Vallejo.
This is the Sales from the Heart Show, the place where business meets heart and soul. And today we have a pretty interesting and maybe a little controversial topic to discuss. What do you think?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So sometimes these things are designed to build you up, but Rocio and I feel like they can also break you down.
Definitely. Should we tell them? Yeah?
Okay. Today we're going to talk about affirmations. We've all heard them over and over. Maybe you have a few of them written out on some note cards, or you wrote them on your bathroom mirror. They're plastered all over your house, and you say them to yourself every single day as you jump out of bed, and you say how wonderful and great you are. And what are some of the affirmations that people like to say?
I mean, there are so many. I think we should start off with how many categories there are.
Okay,
let's do
that.
There are tons. I think I wrote down 5, but they're really, they go on and on. So personal and professional development is one, right? Relationships, wealth, self-esteem, health and fitness, and then you brought up spiritual affirmations.
Yes.
So the list goes on and on. Right?
Yeah. So let's tell people what exactly is an affirmation, Rocio.
So an affirmation is a phrase. Usually it's 1 or 2 lines, and it's supposed to encourage and motivate you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And so this word motivation is really a tricky one. I know a lot of times in personal development, people talk about that, and I'm the first one to tell my clients, hey, I'm not here to motivate you. That motivation comes from within. We can inspire and we can lead other people, but some people think that they can get this inner motivation through these phrases, through these positive words of encouragement.
Right. And I think affirmations, they lead us to believe that they have the ability to rewire our thinking, right? But I believe, and we've discussed this before between the two of us, but I believe that if you really believe a certain way about yourself, you don't need affirmations. I mean, you're kind of tricking yourself into thinking that this is how you really feel, but it's not.
Mm-hmm. So it's creating kind of that duality and that conflict internally within our minds. Also, one day it might be great and you're living in that happy bubble, and the next day that bubble bursts and you just can't understand why. And you need to keep telling yourself, okay, this is going to work. Dream big. You can do it. Be the best version of yourself that you can be. And then you're wondering, well, I'm saying these things to myself several times a day, yet it's not coming through.
Definitely. I was one of those people. Before we started working together, I loved my affirmations. And I tried the whole law of attraction. I read The Secret. I had The Power on audio, and if those are things that you've read or that you listen to,
It's okay.
It's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
If there's something there that served you, we're not here to judge you for that. We're just here to give you a different perspective on it.
Right. And so I did something fun just to give you an idea. But my workspace at home, because I work from home, was just covered. I mean, covered with Post-its, affirmations everywhere, on my computer, on my picture frames, on my keyboard, by my phone. I mean, they were everywhere. It was ridiculous.
Did you have the pictures as well that go along with it, like the vision board? Or
I have created a vision board. I did a vision board. And, it's funny because if you go to my Instagram, if you somehow find it, but I have a picture of what my workspace did look like and how I had the Post-its all over the place. And this is, again, like months old. But I would get really frustrated. Because I would repeat this stuff and I would read it and I would see it every day, and I just didn't understand why my life wasn't big. I kept saying dream big, and I was dreaming big, and I felt like I was going out there and pursuing opportunities, but nothing was really happening the way I had was hoping, I guess.
So even though the affirmations were designed to rewire your brain, Rocio, you felt like it was falling short.
Definitely. Definitely.
And then, so what path did that lead you down?
Well, I wasn't sure. That's the thing. It wasn't until, again, we started working together that I realized that I don't know. I want to backtrack a little bit. So I remember one of our first conversations. I told you that I had this vision. I had this vision that kind of helped me going, but there was this little stick figure in my head, and I was the stick figure. And there's a mountain, and the stick figure is climbing up the mountain, and that's me, right? The top of the mountain is what I would have considered success, right? And I felt like I was so close, but I was so close, and that, at the top of the hill was kind of like the worst. I had like snow and rain and sleet and all this stuff blowing me down, but I was fighting my way up that hill. And I was just so darn tired. And I don't know, what did you tell me? Do you remember?
Well, there was a lot of things we had to get clear on. But, your path and where you were going and what you wanted to do, it just didn't seem like you had a clear direction.
Right.
And then emotionally, we've talked about this on some of the other shows, you were all over the place, right? There wasn't that stability there. And I think when we are so emotional and we keep fighting and we feel like we're struggling, and that affects our judgment and what we do. It makes us do some desperate things, or we start chasing things or doing the wrong things. And so we're not really leading anywhere productive.
Right. I agree with you. Yeah. So what are some things, I guess, do we break free of these affirmations? Do we still use them, like the spiritual ones? How can we get down to the root of what our real issues are?
Yeah. I think these affirmations are actually more like a Band-Aid, right? And so temporarily they might serve you, but if you find that you've been doing them, for a year now and focusing on the same thing and you're not really achieving what it is that you'd like to achieve, then maybe we have to refigure that. We have to look into that a little bit more. Maybe it's not just your vision of what it is that you're meant to do and how you're meant to serve other people. It could be a little bit more in depth there, and maybe you're just not open to exploring all those opportunities because you're just so focused on that one thing, right? And that's what the vision board is designed to do, right? Keep you focused on those particular things. And sometimes we miss all the other opportunities that are around us, right?
Right.
And so when we're looking into a particular affirmation, let's say there's an affirmation that you're using, like, what's one personally?
I think this is one of my favorites. If your dreams don't scare you, you aren't dreaming big enough.
Yeah. So if your dreams don't scare you, wow.
Right?
You aren't dreaming big enough. Okay, so what is this? It's supposed to be like a happy nightmare? Is that what we're supposed to be going through?
Or what if your dreams are simple? That was kind of my thing. What if I don't have like these huge lavish dreams? What if I'm okay with just living a simple life? Right?
So you're saying you hear these affirmations everywhere else and that you're being told that you should be dreaming bigger?
Right, or that your goals should be bigger.
Yeah, I think it's really getting to the root of where that's stemming from. Is it because of complacency? Is it because of society is telling you that you should have all these big lavish things, or that you should live the simple life, right? We hear society saying those things as well.
Right.
What is at the root of it? And at the root of it is discovering who you truly are. And again, we've talked about this before, who you truly work for. What is that purpose? What are your unique gifts, and how are you meant to share these unique blessings with the world?
Right, definitely. I mean, and here's another one. I'm in charge of my own destiny.
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm in charge of my own destiny. Let's go ahead and put all the weight on my shoulders, okay?
Right.
Let's go ahead and just bear all of this. And, I need to, put my family through and provide for them, and I need to do everything, and I just need to stay focused, and this is business, and and I'm just gonna be a ball buster pretty much at anything else that I do. Did I just say balls?
You did say balls.
Yeah. Well,
that's okay.
That's all right. We all have them to a certain degree. So, here's the thing is that we put so much pressure on ourselves that we lose sight and we lose focus of how we're meant to serve other people. Right? And we come off desperate when we engage in conversation with prospects, clients, et cetera. And so when we get to the root of, what these dreams really are, what your unique gifts and blessings are, and how you've prevented those moving forward, that's really the key. Did somebody tell you, hey, you know what? You can't do that. You're definitely dreaming out there, right? Those as Cedric Newborn likes to refer to it, the dream snatchers. Right? And they're just projecting their fears and their inhibitions on you. And so I think when it comes to, how you're meant to show up, how you're meant to share these blessings with other people, these positive affirmations aren't necessarily going to implement action. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, if you don't really feel it, how can you act upon it? I almost feel like you're lying to yourself. You're trying to convince yourself that you believe something that you really deep down inside don't believe. I mean, imagine standing in front of the mirror every day. How some of these people suggest that you do, and we won't name authors and spiritual gurus and all that stuff. But and you're standing in front of the mirror and you tell yourself, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. And you are dying inside because you're not happy. How frustrating, really what a way to start your day. Already you're telling yourself that you are happy, but deep down inside, you know that you're not. So you're already feeling, discouraged.
Right. And where does that happiness truly come from? Right. And a lot of times it's more about being grateful. We're in the season of Thanksgiving.
Turkey Day.
Yeah. So we're calling it Turkey. Do you want to, let's just pause for a moment. Let's tell everybody why you keep calling it Turkey Day.
I call it Turkey Day because I am half Native American Indian. So,
and like the real Native American Indian, like what tribe is your family from?
Right. So, my great grandfather was the last full-blooded Arikara to live. He died about 10 years ago or so. So, so I'm really Native American Indian, and it's something that I've always celebrated because my mother's side of the family isn't, and I mean they're not even from this country, but we kind of just assimilated and we do it. But I think for us, it's more about just celebrating with family. It has nothing to do with the holiday itself because I don't find it to be a holiday.
Right, because your people were killed.
Right.
And that's why we're calling it, slaughtered, and we're calling them a bunch of turkeys. And therefore now we're slaughtering turkeys.
Right.
It's very symbolic.
It is, yes. And I was just telling you before we started rolling the camera that I think it's kind of ironic how Turkey Day is actually celebrated during the month of Native American Heritage Month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Interesting. All right, we're going to just pause there and let you kind of mellow over that. But let's get back into the affirmations and basically telling ourselves that we're happy when we're not really in this gratefulness. And we think that we'll be happy and thankful once we have these things. Right? Instead of just having that gratitude and that in coming out first.
Right.
Finding that contentment and in who you are and what your purpose is.
Right.
And you might say, well, there isn't anything unique. There isn't something special about me. And I know that because I used to say that to myself and I kept searching out. And instead what I needed to do is get to the root, address those issues, fill up spiritually and understanding who I am. Right? And how unconditionally loved that I am. And then all the things started to flow through. The synchronicities started coming through. The people that I was meant to serve and align with, the blessings were just abundant. They really were.
Definitely. I mean, it's learning to just be. Just to being content with who you are and where you are in your life right now at this moment.
And not trying to convince yourself, manipulate your mind. I mean, what good is that going to do? It's going to cause this confusion and confliction there.
Right.
And I think we see that a lot where people are just upset that they're not achieving these milestones or achieving what they deem as success because they keep on repeating these affirmations over and over and over again. Right. You have to implement them with action as well. So if you're going to do these affirmations, then you have to take action. You have to have that clear blueprint and be able to follow that and implement that.
Right. I think it's kind of silly. I'm sorry for saying it, but I think it's kind of silly for you or for me to just sit there and kind of expect for these opportunities and success to come just because we're reciting these daily affirmations. It's not going to happen. It's not. I did read somewhere, though, that a good way to kind of switch, so maybe you don't want to stop using these affirmations, but instead of reciting statements, turn them into questions. So instead of saying, I'm in charge of, well, maybe that's not a good example, but if your dreams don't scare you, you aren't dreaming big enough, right? So you can turn that into a question and say, do my dreams scare me? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing?
Or how about this?
Right?
What are my dreams?
Or there you go. Very simple.
What are my
right?
dreams? Let's take another one there.
Yeah.
Success.
Success comes effortlessly in my direction.
Yeah. So I would probably say, what is your definition of success? Right? That's some of the basics that we do when we're working together is we help you redefine what success truly means to you. We redefine what sales means and who you truly work for, right? And what are those top 5 things that maybe you work for?
Right.
For me, it's God first, then myself, then my family, and then my business. Those are my priorities, right? And I used to just say God, family, and business. And there I am running around on running around on empty, trying to serve everybody else and not filling up myself. So those are my priorities. And when I have those priorities straight, then things start to come into alignment more and I'm able to show up 110%.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
And also these asking yourself a question kind of rids you of those negative feelings that comes with them, right? You're kind of putting things in perspective. You're accepting the things that you do have going for you and the things that you have to work on without feeling bad about not already having those things. So.
Yeah. And then I think that success comes effortlessly in my direction. Understanding what direction you want to go in. What direction are you going in? And maybe you have this big picture, but also we take it down step by step, day by day, right? And not always having to have that 5-year or 10-year plan. At least initially when we're starting out our business, we're open to maybe planning out for the year. We're open to how things come together. That's really important, just to not overwhelm yourself and put all that weight on your shoulders.
Right, definitely.
What's another one there?
Okay. You want to read that one?
Yeah. So you must learn a new way to think before you can master a new way to be. Okay. Is that an affirmation? Or is it more like a statement?
Well, I don't know.
So I need to learn a new way to think before I can master a new way to be. Okay, so what is that new way to think? How can we get more clarity around this, right? What does that mean? Is it because you've been very pessimistic and negative, but then you want to change it to something positive? Forget the being positive thing. I think we should be powerful, right? And when we're powerful, we understand and we come from a place of humility. We understand that the work is being done through us. And again, this isn't here to be preachy and religious. And, some of my clients have no faith background or what they might deem as atheist, right? But when we get down to the root of it, they do believe in something other than themselves. And when we dig a little bit deeper, there could be some resentment. There can be some really just awful things that have happened to them when they were younger or what their parents instilled in them, how people were trying to be overly controlling with them. And so understand some of these things from our past we carry forward, and it can be causing this, it's kind of a bit of a manipulation, though, to prevent you from taking that next step or having that breakthrough. So I would encourage you to revisit that and maybe actually talk that out with somebody. And we're here to be a resource for you. As we always say here, we're not here to convince, convert, and condemn. And if you would like to connect and talk further, you can always send me an email to info@salesfromtheheart.com.
Yeah.
All right.
Good. One thing that I just kind of mentioned, and as you were talking, I was thinking, but I know being okay with where you're at, right, and what's going on in your life. So it's all about yes, how you're feeling, but also your perspective. So you can wake up one morning, and what leads you to start your day off on the wrong foot, right? I woke up this morning, and both of my children were home from school, because tomorrow's Turkey Day, and they weren't being very cooperative because they wanted to stay in their pajamas and hang out and play with their toys. but they had to go to the sitter so I could be here. I stepped in dog poop. And not only did I burn my tongue, but both my lips on the way here with scorching hot water. So I could have, all those things could have really kind of made me kind of crabby. But I'm actually in a really good mood today.
Yeah.
So, and just because.
Yeah.
You know? So really, what are those things that make your day so bad?
Right. Let's see. So yesterday, I smelled this burning scent coming from the furnace, and I called somebody over. And I have to say, my peeps really hook it up. They work hard, and they need to get paid more. But they were like right over. You know, it was late at night. It was about 9:00 p.m. And I'm like, okay, you're coming over tonight. Great, I guess. And then I didn't realize they had shut off the furnace. So this morning, there was no heat on, and they're actually coming over to install the new furnace today. And you know, the only thing that kept going through my mind besides, yes, I was cold, but I said, at least I'm indoors. Wow.
Right.
Can you imagine all the homeless people out there, especially in Chicago? You know, and yes, there could be facilities out there like a new, a safe haven, right? But it's still, I'm very grateful. Very grateful. I can go a few hours. I can go a day without the furnace, right? But imagine those people that don't have that luxury. Imagine the people that are out there. And I just had to put it in perspective where, hey, they're coming out here later today. I could be cranky about this, but no, I'm just, you know, it's going to work out just fine. But I didn't need to tell myself a bunch of affirmations to get myself through it. I was just grateful in that moment, and I thanked my Heavenly Father for just blessing me. Yeah, and went on. Right.
I mean, it's all interconnected, right? So if we really get down to the root of our issues and we work on those, then everything else beautifully really falls into place, right? So
yeah, and it's because these patterns will keep coming up for us, right? And so my pattern had been dealing with extreme narcissists for quite some time in my life. And it was something that kept recurring and recurring. And I'm like, well, what is it that I'm doing to allow this to enter into my space, right? Because I can say all the positive affirmations that I want, but it wasn't addressing at the core of how I was responding to people like this, what I was doing, right? What were my boundaries there? And so I think, getting to the root and healing the initial pain and that I had with somebody close in my family, where this kept recurring and then showing up in my business life, professional, partnerships and things like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny that almost every show, the topics are different, but we always kind of, in some shape, way, or form, come back to this. I hope all of our viewers are catching on that it's really about getting down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah,
right?
It's the base foundation for everything. We can build so much. We can talk about your sales process and, getting you more clients and, building off of a shaky foundation. You're only going to be able to build so far, and it'll come crumbling down.
Because all it takes is one thing, one experience, one life-changing illness. Yes, I have a friend that told me this one time, and it just struck such a chord with me. But it was, we all walk a very fine line between sanity and insanity. I mean, that's pretty profound. It's true.
You think so?
I think this is. I did think before I made peace with my past, before I found God again. Because I always thought that he had abandoned me, but in reality, I was the one that abandoned him. So yes, I mean, a year ago, definitely, that was true for me. And it's so funny because I have a perfect example. My grandparents are a huge part of my life, And I always had this fear of losing them, this incredible fear of losing them. And I was convinced that once I had children, God would take them from me because then I would have something else to live for. And so I started to purposely, after I had my daughter, because I knew I was done having kids, I purposely started to distance myself from them. I stopped going to visit them. I stopped calling. I mean, my grandmother was the person that anything could be going on in my life and she would drop everything and she made everything better. And so the mere thought of losing that was so difficult for me. And so I think that was the line for me. If they would have passed, I would have probably I would have been in such a horrible state of mind. And I think that happens to a lot of people. And a lot of the times it happens with the loss of a loved one, right? It could happen if your business just goes bankrupt or, who knows? But now that I have finally found inner peace, true inner peace, and I know that my life doesn't rest merely on my shoulders, right? That there's somebody else that's guiding me and that has a clear vision for my life. All that pressure that I would put on myself is just, it's gone. I mean,
you
truly
weren't
is.
trying to avoid situations anymore, avoid
No.
people. You're having these conversations that in the past would have been difficult, whether they're about money, relationships, whatever it may be. Now you're able to open up that communication. And you're also able to see the opportunities that are right in front of you, the people that are here to serve you, the people that can actually connect you to another person that can help with your business, et cetera. And so a lot of times when we bring in these past and previous projections of a situation that didn't work out, and a lot of times buyers do this, right? They're, anti-sales people or whatever it may be. Then, we create this hostile environment, and you now establish the boundaries. This is how you operate. This is how you communicate with people in business and personal. And then it just starts to flow much better, and you're not having all the extra drama in your life. And, I can really relate to what you said about your grandparents. I did the same thing with mine, and I don't think I've ever told them this either. So, Grams, I know you watch my show. I'll talk to you about it later. I love you. But yeah, it was kind of like protecting your heart here, and you would put up this wall and you'd put up this defense. And when we do that, our heart becomes hardened, our heart begins to shrink, and we don't realize how much that affects us. And, there's been so many times where I'm thinking, how can I fill up even more? I feel such unconditional love here. For people, through my relationship spiritually, and then all of a sudden, boom, you receive even more and you receive more. And I've talked about this before, and I call it, when you have a lot of yucky going on in your heart, it's hard to fill up and allow that to, I guess we have to release in order to cleanse and then be able to fill back up, right?
Definitely.
And a lot of times an affirmation that we can hear people say is, well, I believe the universe is going to give me whatever I need. The universe is going to heal my relationships, and it's just all going to work out just fine, and I don't have to, take any action in any of this. I think the problem with this is when we acknowledge it as just the universe. Yeah. It's and again, this is something that resonates with us, and it might not with you, but, who's the creator of the universe? Right. And I don't think the universe has a personality or a will. It just is. And if it just is, then that's it. Right. So I think my creator actually will give what it is that I need. And so, again, that releases that pressure of me having to create anything. And I know a lot of times we're told that we are the creators, but when I allow that creation to be done through me and allow myself to just show up and serve, there's this humility that comes with that, and it just releases that pressure.
Definitely. And it's funny because I just posted a video about this on my Facebook page the other day, actually yesterday, but how the video was about how there's this sadness sometimes that we feel even when we're very happy, when we're in a really great relationship, or if we're around, if we're in a really great space with really great people, because it's this fear. The sadness is stemmed from a fear that this is going to end, that this happy moment is going to end, or that this relationship is going to end. And I found this video so incredibly beautiful because this is exactly how I used to feel. My son, not too long ago, stopped me in the hallway of our house, and he told me that tears in his eyes. And he was so scared of growing up because the world was such a horrible place. And, I shared a lot with him in that moment. But one of the things that I shared with him that I really hope that he took away and understood was that this is not the end. The end is not the end of life. Yes, the end of life as we know it right now in this physical being, but I told him, I will always be with you. I will see you on the other side. And I believe that. And that for me has helped me find peace in just being every day.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know?
A lot of times I'll hear people say, hey, I'm running out of time. I'm getting older. I need to retire, or I want to leave a legacy for my kids. And you know what? Your work is not just on this planet. It is eternal, right? And when we understand that, all of a sudden that pressure again is released. And so that's a really good point.
Right.
And I think the little ones out there, they pick up on this. They hear what society is saying. They see sometimes what people are talking about that's in the news or in the
Oh my God,
movies,
yes.
and even portrayed in cartoons, right? And it worries their little heart. But that's so great that you're instilling, that understanding of how they're unconditionally loved by their creator and as well as you.
Definitely, especially with all the hate that exists in this world. You know, all the stuff that's going on in Ferguson, the 43 students that went missing in Mexico. I mean, locally, internationally, there's just so much hate, and that's another thing is that these things aren't being done by God. It's so easy to blame God because we all want to blame somebody.
Right. Or people
You
say,
know?
well, why does God let these things happen? And
Right.
we have free will. And he doesn't create these devastating trials and tribulations out there. But, sometimes he'll allow us to walk through them. And let me tell you, my worst day with God has been far better than my best day without him. Right.
Definitely.
And again, if the word God doesn't resonate with you, I would encourage you to break that down and understand what that really means for you, right? And we have been open here with what that means to us and whatever that could mean to you. But if there's some kind of anger, there's some kind of resentment, there's hurt there, we would encourage you to explore that further.
Definitely. I mean, I think these are all opportunities to learn, right? All of our experiences, everything that we've gone through or been through in our lives, they really are, you hear it all the time, but they really are learning experiences. And there's something to take away from each experience you've had, and you build on it and you grow on it and you make it a positive, right? So turn your life into one big positive affirmation. Is that safe to say or no?
Well, I don't like using the word positive because with positive, there's
Right.
negative,
Okay.
right? So I
Yes,
just like to
okay.
come from that powerful place. And for me, it's that heart-centeredness, that Christ-like consciousness. And to me, there's no duality there, right? And that's developed through my relationship through Christ. And it's just when it comes from that place, a lot of times we can ask our Heavenly Father, and that's, what we call prayer, right? Through prayer, we can ask for things that way. But I also like to encourage people to ask, what is it that you can do for God? We always ask God, please heal this. God, can you help us with this? God, we're sending prayers for our loved ones and blah, 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 blah. And while that's still important, also ask how you can serve, right? What is it that you can do? How can you release this resentment? How can you release this pride, this lust, whatever it is that you're going through, right? And when we talk about some of the things that maybe we're not doing correctly, right? It's not just about good deeds or sin, but understanding it's that separation where we then all of a sudden become our own mini gods, where we try to put all the pressure on ourselves, where we want to go and work and do and provide. And then we're wondering why we have all the stress and these things that keep us up late at night.
Right. I see it all over Facebook. People, talking about how they're exhausted and they're tired of being, superwoman, supermom or Superman. And you're comparing yourself to a superhero. Mm-hmm. We are human. And I think that was one thing that I struggled with, and I've talked about it on the show before, but, just relieving myself of all of that pressure because there's somebody else that's in control.
Yeah.
And just going back a little bit about something that you said a second ago, there. I don't know if I read it somewhere. If there's a song on K-Love, but where the person is asking God, why are all these horrible things happening in the world? Who's going to make a difference? And God responds, well, that's why I created you. And I found that to be, pretty profound. And I just wanted to mention it because you said something that made me think of it.
Right.
But it's true. So,
well, hopefully this segment has made you think a little bit more and dive deeper into your heart, right? And understand that there are different ways out there to perceive things. And
you don't really need all of these.
yeah, you don't really need them.
Right.
And if you find that you're getting overwhelmed with all the affirmations and things aren't coming through for you the way that you'd like to, we're here to support you. I'd also like to invite you to a strategy session, and we can help gain some clarity and map those things out for you. So the best way to get in contact with me is info@salesfromtheheart.com. And, of course, stay plugged in here at the show and make sure to subscribe to Sales from the Heart as well as Lenetta Ekis.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we'll kind of close out. Do you want to leave them with an affirmation? I'm just kidding. All right. Well, maybe you can look up and know who said this. And it's basically, you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. I would encourage you to do a Google search on that. Many, many blessings to you and much love.
Bye, everyone. Eat lots of turkey.
No, not turkey.